Hi, I'm children's author Julie Hedlund, and I'm so excited to be a part of the 2014 Promo Day. Thank you to Joe for inviting me. Today, I'm going to be talking about crowdfunding. Last November and December, I ran a Kickstarter campaign to pre-fund the publication of my next book, My Love for You is the Sun, on Kickstarter. I had a $10,000 funding goal, and I achieved that goal within 8 days. As a matter of fact, I was 50% funded within 12 hours. In the past, I've created a great deal of resources on why you might want to consider crowdfunding your project and which types of projects are appropriate. But I know that you have a lot of other presentations to catch today, so I'm not going to spend time on the why. Instead, I am going to give you my top 10 tips for creating, running, and completing a successful crowdfunding campaign. So let's get started.
So if you've ever wondered, I'm interested in crowdfunding, but how can I make sure it would be successful? You've come to the right place. Okay, the first tip, and the most important one, is to start with story. Crowdfunding is a path to publication. It is not a shortcut. You still need to tell the best possible story that you can. And in order to do that, you will need to go through rounds of revision. You will need a professional editor for your book. If you are not an illustrator and a designer and you need those things, you will have to hire those out. You want to make sure your book is 100% professional and that you put your best foot forward. Next, pick a project that you are passionate about. If you're like most writers, you probably have multiple candidates for books that you would like to see published and that could potentially come to life via crowdfunding. But passion permeates everything. As much as you're selling your book, you're selling you, and you're telling your story and the story of the book. And you are going to have to live with this for a long time through the course of the campaign and beyond. So you want to make sure that this book is truly of your heart. Number 3, give yourself way more time than you think you're going to need for a crowdfunding campaign. There is such a huge learning curve. For me, I felt like I was fairly well prepared for the launch and for what I was going to do in the middle and so on. But even so, I knew that there was more that I could have done. If you don't have to give yourself a specific deadline, it's best not to, and just take the care that you can throughout the process of building the campaign before you go live, so that you are ready for the amount of work that it's going to take, and you know that you will have done everything that you can to make your campaign a success. Number 4 is hugely important, and that is to make sure you set a realistic funding goal. What exactly is the dollar amount that you need to succeed? In my case, I needed to fund the production, illustration, printing, and shipping of the first run printing of My Love for You is the Sun. I know other projects where people have been seeking funding for marketing and promotion. In another campaign, a writer was seeking to pay his salary for a year while he wrote the book. Make sure that your funding goals include the cost of creating and delivering your rewards. Also, keep in mind that all of the funding platforms all charge payment processing fees that you need to incorporate into your funding goals as well. Don't set your goal well below what you need to fulfill these obligations, because the vast majority of crowdfunding projects are funded within 3% of their goal. So your chances of being overfunded are slim. The other thing to keep in mind is that the higher your funding goal is, statistically, the less likely your project is to succeed, which is not to say that higher funding goal projects don't succeed, because they do, but you want to make sure that you really aim for the amount that you actually need. If your funding goal is substantially higher and that's what you need to complete the project, you need to ask for that. Because if you set it for a goal that is well under what you need to fulfill your rewards and your obligation, you're going to end up not being able to make good on your promises, which is worse than not publishing the book itself. Okay, not to belabor this financial point too much, but number 5 is making sure you do very careful accounting. I'm stressing this point because I took this hugely on the chin. I don't want you to make the same mistake I did. Remember that if you are successful, you'll receive a fairly large lump sum of money. And that money in the United States, and probably in other countries as well, considered income for tax purposes. If you don't have the expenses associated with producing and publishing the book in the same year that you get the income for it, well, that can be a problem. And ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what happened to me. I was funded in December of 2013 and had no expenses for the production and publication for My Love for You is the Sun until 2014. So, wah, wah, wah. The tax man cometh. So you want to think about the timing of your campaign, talk to your accountant, make sure that you've got it all sorted out. Number 6, which is tell a story, is very closely related to number 7, which is make a great video. But as I mentioned before, people are wanting to support you and the genesis and the story behind the story as much as they're supporting your individual book. We need to give them something to sink their teeth into. We need to let them know why this book is important, why it deserves to get published, why our hearts are so in it. In my case, that was fairly easy to do because this particular book, My Love for You is the Sun, I wrote thinking that I was writing it for my children, and I was. But afterward, I realized I was also writing it for my father, who had passed away recently. And in the end, it became a story about the universality of love. You have the opportunity on your campaign page to tell a compelling story about where this book came from, why it matters, why they should support it, what difference is it going to make in the world. Sometimes people aren't even interested in the book so much as they want to support the idea behind the book, the concept behind the book, the emotion behind the book. So get out your pens and pencils, your pixels, what have you, and tell your story. Number 7 goes hand in hand with number 6, but is perhaps even more important, and that is that you need to make a great campaign video. I would go so far as to say, if you don't plan to have a video in your crowdfunding campaign, don't bother. The statistics are clear. Campaigns that have a video have a much higher chance of success than those that don't. Videos are so important to the success of crowdfunding campaigns that many people pay quite a bit of money to have a video professionally produced. If you have the resources to do that, I guess go ahead. But again, going back to number 6, I think the more all of your communications come straight from your heart, the better off you're going to be. I did a very homegrown video for my campaign for My Love for You is the Sun. I will show you a little clip of it. In my video, I wanted to communicate the sense of nostalgia of my childhood and how that fed into the way I'm loving and expressing my love for my children today. So I used some old home videos of myself as a baby, as a child, and superimposed that with videos and photos of me with my children today. And I think it was very effective. You can find hundreds of crowdfunding videos that were professionally produced and probably had a huge budget behind them. So here I'd like to give you the chance to see a few examples of ones that I think are still very effective but didn't break the bank. Hi, I'm children's author Julie Hedlund, and the words you see in this video are the text of a few verses of the picture book, My Love for You is the Sun. I wrote this book as a love letter, not only to my family, but to all families. The inspiration for this bedtime story came to me one night as I was snuggling my 2 children and felt a sudden surge of overwhelming love for them. Like many parents, I'm sometimes at a loss for how to express that love in all of its depth and richness. In writing my love for you as the sun, I found a way using metaphors evoking the beauty and wonder of the natural world. If this campaign is successful, adults everywhere will be able to share and express their love for the cherished children in their lives by tucking them into their laps and reading the book in that sweet hour just before bedtime. The video continues from there, but I think that gives you the sense of what I was going for and the emotion, the heartstrings I was trying to pull. And now here's an example of a very different kind of video, and this is a project that I backed very recently.
Hello everyone, this is Katrina Von Kapp, the Master of Wisdom and Knowledge. I'm here to tell you all about our new Kickstarter project. Our author is currently working on our second book, but we need your help to get a awesome book cover. Let me introduce you to Stanley and I's creator, Neighbor Girl. Katrina, I'm not there. I'll just explain it to you later. Hi, I'm Felicia, and I'm an author. I'm in 6th grade, and I'm working on my second book. The planned release is September 2014. My first book, The Perpetual Papers of the Pack of Pets, is about Stanley and Katrina, a dog and a cat, who start sending letters to each other because they never talk to each other at all. Never. Nope. Nada. My second book is ready for editing, and I am super excited for when it is released. But we need a cover.
So, do I think this is going to be the best book I've ever read in my life? No, I don't. But it's written by an 11-year-old, and she's adorable, and this video is very creative, and so I'm sure her work is too, and I wanted to support her. So you can see how your video can move people, even who are not familiar with you, to just want to support you and your work.
Illustrator of I'm Looking for a Monster, Shadows on My Wall, and They're Coming. My new book is called I Hate Picture Books, and this is my first copy. It's my advanced copy from my publisher, which means the other books are on a slow boat from China heading over. They'll be in the warehouse in about 4 to 6 weeks, which is when they'll be available. I'm very excited about this book. Let me read you a little bit from it. I hate picture books. I hate picture books. I never want to read another picture book, so I'm getting rid of all of them, because all they do is get me in trouble. Once Mom read me this book, about that kid and his purple crayon, but when I drew on the wall, she sent me to bed without dinner. I was very angry. So I wished my room would turn into a forest, and then a boat would come and take me away. The next morning, I woke up to find nothing. No forest, no boat, no wild things anywhere. Nothing but my stupid room and my stupid picture books. I started to think that I really didn't like picture books at all. Last summer, I did a Kickstarter campaign to raise funds to help promote Shadows on My Wall. They're coming. I'm doing another Kickstarter because I really enjoyed the Kickstarter experience, and it was a great way to get the word out that the books were available. Now that I Hate Picture Books is coming out, I've already done the website and I've done some promotion, so I don't need to raise quite as much money. But I enjoyed having Kickstarter as a way to get the word out and let people pre-order through the incentives copies of my book.
So in this short clip, author-illustrator Timothy Young is seeking promotion funding for his new book. He has the advantage of being able to show the finished work, and he does a great job here of just letting the work speak for itself while showing his personality and being very straightforward about what it is that he's looking for and why. Number 8 is to select really great rewards to offer your backers. Spend some serious time considering what rewards you want to offer, how much they're going to cost, and what you think will be the most enticing at different levels. The general rule of thumb is most people will choose the $50 level. So you want to make that reward level really, really juicy. Make sure they get a copy of your book at that level, possibly a signed copy of the book. Be creative with your rewards. Can you give them illustrations? Can you give them prints? Can you give them time with you? I've seen people offer a dinner, or in our case, we did in-person school visits and Skype school visits, and donating a book to the library of their choice. Giving backers recognition on a website or in the book is another great reward. You really want to do your research here. Make sure your rewards are competitive with other similar projects, and show your appreciation for your backers. It will come out in how you describe your rewards. Number 9, just like your book, your campaign needs a beginning, middle, and an end, and a plan for each. You want to go great guns in the beginning. This is where you're going to get your most attention. If you reach 50% of your funding goal within the first week of your campaign, your chances of success are exponentially higher. So you want to go gangbusters in the beginning. Make sure you have a launch plan. Schedule blogs, click-to-tweets, Facebook, ask people to blog for you, run a contest. In the middle, you're going to expect a slump. You're going to be prepared for that. You will be ready to contact people individual by individual or group by group, depending on how you're connected to them, to keep the momentum going. And the campaign will pick up again in the last week. You want to also end with a bang. You can offer stretch goals. You can have brand new content coming out, ending with fanfare. Anything you can do to create a sense of urgency is great. So make sure you're prepared for each of these phases. Last but not least is number 10, engage your community. It is a fallacy that you have to have a gigantic platform in order to fund a reasonable crowdfunding campaign. The truth is, 80 to 90% of your funding is going to come from within your network, but it doesn't mean you have to have a huge network. Yes, I have thousands of people in my network. At the end of the day, we had 170 backers. Not all of them came from me. Some came from the illustrator, some came from the publisher. So what you need is to identify 100 people who you think will contribute $50. Seriously, if you can do that, chances are you're already on the road to success. But you have to communicate with people. Crowdfunding is not a build it and they will come enterprise. You have to have a very thoughtful, well-crafted plan for how you're going to communicate with your network, what you are going to ask them to do, creating calls to action, asking them, will you contribute? If you can't contribute, would you consider writing a blog post, sharing on Facebook, sending a tweet for me? You cannot be shy. This is no time to be a wallflower. You've got to get out there. You don't have to have a huge network, but you do have to put yourself out there. It's a big, big, big part of being successful at crowdfunding. If you follow these 10 tips, you will be well on your way to crowdfunding success. Happy Promo Day 2014, everyone. I wish you the best of luck in all of your endeavors.